Yeah. Is that not new?
Hello!
Yay! How are we doing this week?
I'm doing excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. I was crying about Tony's Last Smash of Pepper, and then I started squeeing about Spider-Man. So.
Oh, nice.
All went well.
I got excited this week because all of a sudden, like, Transformers looks so legit.
Yeah, I was just hearing that apparently it's a good movie, which is shocking.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, you're at the Superhero News Network. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff. Elseworlds, Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, and a bunch of other cool things.
And those are the two things.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Pretty much. But, yo, so I was checking out the new Transformers trailer, and oh my gosh, there's so many G1 Transformers in it. I was like, Shockwave, Soundwave, Starscream looks legit. I'm like, dude, once Michael Bay stepped away from the reins...
That's all you needed.
That's all you needed. He was like, make them look like the Transformers. Make them look like the way they're supposed to look. And it's like, shit, I want to support this movie now.
Well, there you go. And hello, everyone. Hello.
Yo!
Ryan, Anna, Blackwing.
Dude,
Yes.
Flash. Turkey Kid. And it looks, I'm seeing so many different quotes in the chat right now. It looks like everyone saw...
everyone saw Spider-Verse, right?
It is,
Which is great, because we're going to have a very spoiler-tastic review of it.
We really are.
Coming
up.
up.
It's going to be spoilerific. So if you haven't seen it yet, stick around. We'll tell you all about it.
And if you have any comments that you want us to read about it, let us know via the Super Chat.
Super Chat!
Delicious icon made of money next to the smiley face.
Because as you know, that chat be going fast. So when you Super Chat, it slows it down. That way we get to read your comment and we get to talk about it.
Yeah,
Exactly. It makes it special. It's like Christmas decorations.
It is. That's right. It's coming up. Or non-denominational winter decorations.
Exactly. Hopefully your dollar lasts for 8 days.
But first we have Elseworlds, which was kind of a preview for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And so much so. Like, it was crazy. So overall, what did you think of Elseworlds?
I thought it was fun. It was like, it felt like lower stakes than like last year's, for example, but we got to have a lot of fun with Oliver and Barry.
Yeah.
And then even with Kara playing like the mediator between them. So they had a lot like that they were trying to do. Obviously they wanted to preview Crisis. They wanted to introduce Batwoman. They wanted to give us the concept of Superman and his family, which must play into something coming up. So yeah, but I think they managed to get through all those things. Oh yeah, and we got Evil Superman, which I think was great because for me it offset just how like sweet and beautiful and innocent Clark is generally. So it really like made Tyler's performance as Clark stand out more.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. Like I gotta say, so for those of you who don't know, like I watch these shows. Like I mainly watch Flash and I watch Legends Tomorrow, and I'll peer into like Supergirl and Arrow like ever so often. But I usually wait for the end of the year. I usually wait for them to all come to Netflix and just like boom, binge watch it all at one time. And so when I was like stopping in here, it was like it is kind of like a jump into it because I have to get caught up on like so many different storylines at the same time. But all in all, I have to say, bless you, I would say that was like super. It was like so good. Like so many things stood out to me. Like one, Tyler's performance as Superman, I was like, dude, he is Superman.
Yeah, he's a really great Superman.
He is really good
Superman. He really embodies the joy of being a hero, of like wanting to help people. Of
exactly.
Wanting, of being proud of his super feminist wife.
He was super legit.
Who's going to become his wife.
Exactly. And Lois Lane was our hardcore Lois Lane. I was like, she's like, I want to write the story. I want to win another Pulitzer. And while you're still making more money than me. And by the way, we got a Super Chat! Woo!
Super Kid! Yes. Earth 90 Flash was gone in a flash. And stop pointing.
Toku, you pointed first. You pointed first. We don't know which one.
Why are you pointing at me while I'm pointing at you?
But no, like he was that was the crazy thing about it. Like I thought we were going to get like the Earth 90 Flash for a little bit money. I like the fact it was Earth 90, like 90s Flash, which is like boom.
Yeah, exactly. First it's the 90 Flash, but then it's also a hint that there's more than 52 Earths because we've been told there's 52, and now we know there's just a billion.
Well, for right now there will be.
Yeah.
But so it was dope. I like seeing him and everything like that. But I agree with you. Like the fun of this crossover was just so much enjoyable. Like I love the banter between Barry and Oliver. I love the jokes going back and forth between the two, and I love the fact that Barry got him back and shot him in the back with the arrows. He was like, yes! He was like 4 years!
Exactly, 4 years in the making. A joke 4 years in the making.
And I remember watching that scene, I was like, shoot him, Barry. Shoot him for what he did.
And of course, Lois there was also like, deck him, Barry.
Exactly.
It really was like the gang up on Oliver crossover.
Which it should have been. Yeah, it should have been.
Like, I saw there was someone. Oh, another one.
Super Chat.
That Disney night, hearing the Smallville theme, #feels, 100% yes. Nice, that Smallville theme, like as soon as I heard it, I was just like, freaking out, right? Somebody save save me. I can't do it. But it was so great. And then it was the same farm. Mm-hmm. It was a farm from Smallville.
Exactly. It's like, we're going to do this right. And I was like, they are doing it right. This is so dope. So again, I was loving all that. Yeah. And then like some of the things that I loved when they finally went to Gotham. And then I love Oliver Walker like, Batman's a myth. I was the first vigilante hero. And they're like, shut up, Oliver.
Like, Batman's
shut up, Oliver.
That was great. That was really cute.
Oh, dude.
I love that they introduced, because we were talking about the concept of Bruce being missing, right? And so now it's like Kate has to like step into his place.
Yeah.
So I like that they introduced that in this episode, so that we can sort of like step into the actual show already knowing that and see where Kate goes from there.
Yeah.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it was dope to see Gotham and see how bad Gotham was. Like I love the fact that, like when those rich people get out the car and they have a SWAT team escorting them, and he was like, "Gotham is the worst place on earth." And I'm like, I could have sworn you were saying that for like 3 years about Star City, about how your city was so bad, how it need all this help.
I feel like Oliver's made a couple of jokes before about how Gotham's worse.
I know. I feel bad. I felt bad for Gotham as someone who's a fellow Detroiter. I was like, shut up. Shut up, Oliver. Don't you talk about cities that are poor and struggling. You shut up, Oliver. Your privileged self.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so the big thing about the crossover, though, is that now we know that Crisis is coming. And what do you think, like, what did this crossover for you set up for next crossover?
Okay, so for me, one, of course, is like Batman. Like the thing about this was that, like, again, when they were at Gotham, I was just like fanboying out so hard, especially when they go to Arkham Asylum and we start going that road and we see all those different villains and whatnot. I was like, oh my gosh, like we're going to possibly see all these people like in the Batwoman series. Right. So that got me really excited. I love the fact that Bruce went away for 3 years and there's like they're trying to figure out like why and how much the city is like falling apart without him. So she's trying to fill that void, which is like, all right, cool. So there will probably be other people filling that void. So hopefully we get like Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. Hopefully we get like the other like Robins and whatnot. They like show up for a minute. It's like we're going off the Bruce again. It's like, so what's going on with them? So that's super dope. And we got another super chat.
And it's Toga Kid. Technically, the Justice Society was the first. LOL. That's true. But we've got the Justice Society in Legends.
This is true.
So we've seen them sort of like way back when in the 1940s, I think it was.
Exactly. And they were vigilantes, but they're also kind of patriots too, because they were like fighting the war and everything like that. Batman was like the one who showed up, was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I don't care what you say about it. It's like, oh, he's the Batman.
Yeah.
He don't give no dams. And so, we got another super chat. Do you think we will see Superboy Jonathan Kent?
Yes, Batusi, we absolutely will. That is who is currently in Lois's belly.
Dude, so exactly, that's what I was gonna say. So this is my theory. So I was trying to build up to it.
Okay, all right.
And so my whole thing is that I don't think we're only going to see Jonathan Kent. I think we're going to see Damian Wayne.
Yes.
Because the thing about it is, so they were like, Bruce left for 3 years. And it was like,
to have a baby with
no. Well, it was like, you know, like, so he's like, it's Bruce's mission. Like, again, what's Bruce's whole thing is like, I need to protect Gotham. What's the only thing would probably make him leave? That, again, is his son and the lineage of his family.
That's true.
So you go there, he finds out he has a child, and guess what he's doing for 3 years? Probably raising Damian.
Aww.
And so then, the cool thing about it is, I was thinking
Bruce.
about it, and this is my own theory, is like, okay, they do Crisis on different Earths. At the end of Crisis, boom, they're all one Earth again. Because that's what the original intention of Crisis
it's all become one
to
Earth,
bring all
sure.
one Earth. So you get rid of Supergirl's Earth, all of them, they kind of merge together as one, which they're kind of doing already with all these portals.
Right.
And so all of a sudden they become one Earth, and it's like, guess what? When you do this, you kind of like time skip a little bit, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's Damian Wayne. Oh, there's Jonathan Kent. And it's like, oh crap, we get the Super Kids in a way.
Yeah. And the Tornado Twins. Speaking of, I saw someone saying they're scared that Barry will die, and I would like to assure you that is not what is going to happen. Nah. I think that they already foreshadowed what is going to happen, which is because Oliver made the deal to save Barry and Kara, and, you know, his life is worthless. I'm just kidding, it's really not. But I feel like Oliver will be the one to die in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I think so, too.
Like, season 8 will be Arrow's, like, last season. Stephen Amell will finally go rest. Oliver will sacrifice himself to save the multiverse and to save Barry and Kara. And then either Emiko Queen will continue Arrow for that the remainder of that season, or it's just a mid-season, and then they just stop after that.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think that's pretty much just what, like, set it up in a way, is that it will be, like, Oliver's death in a way. And I think we might get a Flash, like, Supergirl death, because it is classic for that
iconic
Crisis.
moment.
The thing about this is that we got to remember is like going to Crisis, we're going to get infinite Flashes, we're going to get infinite Supergirls, and we're going to get to see like all these other heroes. So again, I'm looking forward to it. And so let me ask you this though: so looking towards Crisis on Infinite Earth, are there any like heroes you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to get a flash of like the Lanterns, the Green Lanterns, just because we had that little shout out to John Diggle being a Green Lantern on Earth 90. So why not, for a crossover, bring in Earth 90 John Diggle, John Stewart Diggle, whatever, and his Green Lantern friends, so that they can immediately die. But yes, I do expect to see some Green Lanterns. Like you, I'd love to see some more of the extended Bat family, especially Sandra Kane. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'd also love to see, honestly, like, because again, if we do this, like, I'd love to see, like, again, more Flash family. So I want to see Max Mercury.
Yes, Max Mercury.
I would love to see, like, Impulse show up and everything like that. That would be super dope. I would also love to get, like, pre-Crisis Superman, the old 1950s version, everything like that.
Oh yeah, we have to see Impulse, Bart, especially because in the 100th episode, Eobard shouted out the Tornado Twins by saying, like, "Isn't your name Dawn?" And then she's like, "No, I'm Nora." And he's like, "Oh, well, at least you still have one."
So, nice.
So there's gonna be, I think that like by the end of the season, it'll be twins. Suddenly.
Thank God, fingers crossed. Oh, this is
and then
awesome.
we'll get Bart.
Nice, cool. Because I was a little bit worried about that because I was like, because I love the Tornado Twins.
Where's your brother? What is happening?
Exactly. I need Bart Allen. I need Impulse.
Yeah.
So all in all, I gotta say, Elseworlds was a dope crossover. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we're looking forward to. We got a lot of things set up for the future, and I really gotta say, like, as I was thinking about this, like, they really like planted seeds like way back in season 1. Like, if they were putting together like the Flash's team, they were like, we need Killer Frost on there because Killer Frost does play a big part in Crisis.
Firestorm. Hopefully, Firestorm will come back.
Exactly. So I'm just like, you guys laid a lot of seeds laid into the Crisis. So there's a lot of long form storytelling going on, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Are we doing
comic news?
Yes.
So there's a little bit of comic news, a little bit of controversy this week. And so, sadly enough, there was this dope comic book series called Border Town that came out, right? Now, Border Town, it was literally just put on Entertainment Weekly's like top books of 2018, and all these like kind of cool things said about it because it was like this cool story. They told the story of like this Latino, mainly Latino like Texas town, but it had all these like mythical components stuff like chupacabras and all this kind of random things going on. And it was a book put out by Vertigo, so it was doing like it had a lot of things going for it. But before I talk more about that, let's talk about the Super Chat.
Back after these messages.
There it is. Toku says Smallville should show up after all the Easter egg.
I think it would be great to see some of the character, like the actors from Smallville, you know? Like, it could be another one of the Earths, right?
It definitely could be.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't die in Crisis, but maybe they'll lend a helping hand.
Honestly, I think Crisis is like the best time to bring like all these things together because low-key though, like, again, talking about that, this is how you bring in the Titans. So you can merge that universe together, or this could actually be the same universe. Like, at the end of this, you can kind of bring all these like different spin-offs you have going on together at the same time.
That's true, because you say it's all the same universe, and then even if you never see them again, you know they're out there doing their own thing wherever they are. Yeah.
And you can even crack some jokes and bring like Teen Titans Go, which would be hilarious. I would love to see a live action Teen Titans Go. That would be ridiculous.
That would be amazing.
It's like, oh my gosh, waffles. It would be hilarious.
Or if it was like Spider-Verse and then suddenly like the animated character comes out
on
the
screen. Walks out or whatever. It's like, we had a budget for this. We made a budget for this. And so going back to it, so Border Town was again, it's going to do all these great things. People were celebrating its diversity. People were celebrating the creative team behind it. But then there was a little bit of controversy because, well, not controversy, but scandal because the main writer, Eric Esquivio, was called out for sexual assault. It really sucks. So pretty much somebody wrote a letter online talking about how she used to work with him and how he pretty much like abused her and did all these things to her and potentially raped her.
Oh my God.
And so pretty much like all these things came out and all of a sudden he deleted all of his social media. He's canceled all his appearances.
Oh wow.
And
have Vertigo put out a statement?
They haven't put out a statement, but recently today, this just happened today, the artist and colorist in the book both stepped down.
Oh my gosh.
So it's kind of crazy. So I mean, the good thing about it is though is that the comics community is standing together because for a long time, sexual assault and things like that was kind of saying, you know what, it was tolerated. But the dope thing about it is though is that people are saying like, nah, this ain't cool, and so they're taking a stand. And so well, now this book is pretty much done.
Yeah, because that's the thing. The thing is, it's like it feels like it's happening so much more often now, but it's really that people are feeling freer to speak out about it, right? That they have a platform to talk about it, that they have people standing behind them. Because, of course, that reminds you of Eddie Berganza in DC for like a decade.
Exactly.
Everyone knew about it. It was an open secret, and yet here we were just still...
accepting it, which was crazy too because like the people involved with this I actually know. Like I met Erica Esquivel like years ago at LA Comic Con, and Cynthia actually met her like a couple years ago at Portland Comic Con. Both cool people and everything like that, but Eric not so much now.
Right, and you're like, oh wait a second, and that's the thing too because there's like you said, there's a public face and there's a private face, right?
Exactly.
So people act one way with you when you're a fan or when you're a colleague or whatever, or when you're a man, right? And then they act very differently when they think they have the power over you or when,
exactly. So the thing about this is that it's sad in a way for the woman and what she went through and everything like that, but at the same time it's kind of being celebrated for the fact that it's like cool someone stood up to this, which is like really awesome and dope.
Right.
So so Border Town, it was funny, it was actually gonna be one of my Johnny Spoilers coming out in a couple of weeks. I was waiting for the trade to be done because I wanted to review it because I was like, oh cool, diversity and everything like that, but sadly
sad times
will not be done.
Yeah.
Will not be done. But since I'm talking about my pull list, transition.
That was a wonderful transition.
Thank you. I do my best. Theme song, please.
Johnny's pull list.
There you go. An attempt was made.
It was some.
We tried.
Okay, so for my pull list this week, I was thinking like, okay, cool. What can I recommend? Like, what would be some cool stuff for people to check out, especially what's coming out this week? So with Spider-Verse coming out, I decided to recommend Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. I have not. Tell me more.
So Spider-Man is super dope. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis, drawn by Sarah Piccinelli, and by the way, both of them kind of get like little nods too within the movie.
Yes.
And pretty much this tells a story of the first meeting of Peter Parker and Miles Morales. Peter Parker like ends up on Miles Morales' Earth and whatnot, and they kind of encounter each other. And what's kind of cool is Peter kind of mentors Miles Morales for a little while, talks about having the powers, the great responsibility aspects of it, and it's really cool, like bonding, everything.
Is it a smoother mentorship than the one in the film?
It's I would say the one in the film is a lot more hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's a little bit more smoother. It's a lot more beautiful and everything like that. It's a great read. The trade's out. There's even a sequel called Spider-Man 2. And it really sets up, because later on in Marvel, they bring Miles Morales into the Marvel Universe. So it really sets all those things up. So again, I highly recommend reading Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite series. It's written by Bendis, the creator of Miles Morales. And so it's really awesome.
Nice. I really like Sarah's art too.
Her art is amazing. She's a dope artist. Like, it's crazy. Like, Dave Marquez, who was drawing the book before her, he has a very similar style. So when Dave left the book, people were like, who are you going to get to replace him? And then Sarah came in and was like, oh,
and you're like,
good.
oh, that's the right
one.
one.
You good job. Well done.
That's the right replacement.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my first recommendation.
Yeah.
My second recommendation.
Blackwing says Spider-Man 2 ends with a special surprise. So that's good to know.
Oh, nice. Dope. So a little recommendation there. Thanks,
continue
Blackwing.
from Spider-Man to Spider-Man 2.
Okay, so my next recommendation. So here's the thing. A little people are forgetting that tomorrow, Dragon Ball Z drops a movie, again, with Broly in it and everything like that.
Broly comes out tomorrow in Japan, right? Not for us yet until January. Okay.
And so this, but you know what?
Yeah, we're all gonna watch it anyway. I know.
We'll be watching that.
We'll have seen it.
We'll
But
watch
continue.
that bad boy Saturday. Watch. Okay, so the thing about this is, so my recommendation is called The Reincarnation of Yamcha. It's super dope. And so if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, this is actually the artist who's doing Dragon Ball Super currently. And the dope thing about it is, though, is that he's pretty much going through and telling the story, because Yamcha is seen as like this ultra like weak character who always gets beat, is always dying. But one day this fanboy dies and he's reincarnated as Yamcha. So all of a sudden he has to live his life as Yamcha, and he starts, oh, this is so cool. Bulma's my girlfriend. I'm hanging out with Goku. And he was like, wait, I died in like 5 years by some Saiyans. Oh no, I can't be taking this L. And so he totally changes like Yamcha's life path. And it's a whole what if story, like what if Yamcha trained seriously?
Yeah.
What if Yamcha did this instead, and blah blah blah. And Yamcha becomes kind of a badass. And so there's a nice little twist ending to it. It goes all the way from the beginning of like, again, Dragon Ball. We go through the Saiyan saga, we have some of the Frieza saga, and we get right to the edge of the Cell saga right before like wraps up and everything like that. So it's an awesome read, and the cool thing about it is it's got its official release.
Yeah.
Because for a long time it started off as a fan comic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like a perfect fan comic. Yeah.
It was. And the dope thing about it is, so that's why I always tell people, like, if you want to break into comics, the main thing you gotta do is make comics. This guy literally made this fan comic, and his art was so good that Akira Toriyama and the team over at Toei recruited him to come and be like the artist on the new manga for the Dragon Ball Super.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a story that like rises up. So if
I
you
see
want,
Toku Kid being a hater again.
Again, Toku.
Hating on Yamcha, hating on everything that I love.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So again, if you get a chance to read it, again, you can read it in multiple different places as an official release, but I highly recommend it if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, so go check it out. And then my third and final Johnny's Pull List recommendation.
All right.
It's not a book.
It's not a book?
It's not a book.
It's a movie?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay. What is it?
It's a movie called Overlord. So if you're a big
J.J. Abrams.
So I was surprised by this. So if you're a big fan of like video games, you ever play like Call of Duty Nazi Zombies, one of my favorite things to play. And the thing about it is, it's pretty much a World War II story with zombies.
Right.
And it's crazy though. And part of the reason why I recommend it is because people always complain about like, oh, why do we always have watch things that are based upon franchises? Well, the thing about it is, though, this is something new, not based upon a franchise. It's an original idea that's been put out there as a diverse cast, as a really good story, and it's super fun. It's pretty much like this group of World War II soldiers are supposed to go on a mission to like destroy this radio tower, but within land is like French town or whatever, they discover something else is going on. The Nazis there are doing experiments or whatnot, and so it kind of reminds you of like a nice like B comic from like the 70s or 50s and everything like that, with like Nazis and American soldiers fighting them and some supernatural stuff and everything like that. No. And so it's pretty dope. So apparently I didn't know it was actually based upon a true story called Operation Overlord.
Yeah,
and
except
it was, like,
that they were not actually
fantasticized.
zombies in the true story. I was gonna say, like, that kind of sounds like Captain America plus zombies.
Yeah, I thought it would be based upon Dr. Mengele, who was experimenting on Jews during like World War II and everything like that too. Yeah, but here's the thing though. So if you get a chance, go and check it out. It's an original story. It's got a great cast. It's really fun.
Is this already out on like
Yep,
Netflix?
already out on the theaters currently right now.
Oh, it's in theaters.
Go see it with the family. I went and saw it the other day, and I was like, I'm recommending this and put this on my pull list. It was really fun.
Cool.
Okay, but transitioning now because there was also something else I saw in the theaters this week.
Yes,
and you saw it as well.
Yes, we saw it together. We laughed, we cried, we screamed, we danced. We danced a lot because that soundtrack was badass.
Fire, straight fire. We about to talk to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
All right, what can we say about this movie aside from? Oh, there's an interview.
So we have an interview first.
That's we'll first give an interview about it.
Yeah, so first let's check out the interview.
Jake, you and I talked about this way earlier on in the year, and finally seeing it, oh my God, this is something that's special.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right? I'm a huge Spider-Man fan and something special. So Lord and Miller have been on this for the last 2.5 years. Now that you're finally seeing it come to life and you're seeing it, all the fan reaction, what's that like for you guys?
It's what you just said. I think your reaction is the same as my reaction. I had been working on it for 2 years with them, 2 years plus. Same with Shamik. We've been in that booth over and over. We talked, I think, when we were doing press for Tag. Yeah. And I was like, I can't say anything about it, but it's going to be good. And I thought the reason it was going to be good was the work that Phil was putting in, Chris, our directors were putting in, the animators. And now that it's all come together with the music and the feeling of this movie, it's really nice to be in a movie that's special. We don't get to make that many special movies anymore. So when you're, as an actor, when you get put in one, it's a lucky thing.
Yeah. Guys, amazing job. I've already said this is probably one of the best films of the year. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
But in any universe, you kind of have to create your own kind of rules. And even as mind-bending as this is, especially with multi-dimensions, what were some of the rules you guys created for the Spider-Verse?
I mean, honestly, the biggest one was we want to make sure we experience this through Miles' eyes, right? And that you have a single character that you're rooting for. And Miles Morales is such an interesting guy with such an interesting family and constellation of people around him. And that emotional journey of, I'm not sure I'm capable of doing this, but maybe with the help of everybody around me, I can pull it off. That was a universal thing that we wanted to make sure was in the foreground of the whole movie.
And so at the end of the day, we're like, if we're not experiencing this really through Miles' point of view, we can't really be on it for too long.
Now, as an actress, how freeing is it for you to be in a booth doing a movie? Because this is a special movie. It's groundbreaking in a lot of ways. But how freeing is it for you to be in a sound booth and just doing these lines? And how much of you was in this Aunt May?
I think a lot of me is because it's naturalistic and.
Sure.
And that part of me is that part of me that's kind of casual and doesn't take anything too anxiously. So that part of me was there, but in terms of language, it was 99% the writers.
Oh wow!
Yeah, just very little fooling around. I just might try another word or something, or I'd say to the director, what about blah, 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 just for a second. To make something.
Just make something.
Whatever came to mind that seemed like it was more appropriate.
There's a great message in this movie that anybody can be Spider-Man, and anybody can be Spider-Man, but what do you guys want audiences to take away from this movie besides that?
I think that, it's interesting because I think everybody does have their own superhero in them, right? But there's that moment where Miles is finally finds himself, right? And it's a true coming of age movie and coming to terms with his special powers and special abilities. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I want everybody to walk away knowing that everybody has that. Mm-hmm. You all have your own unique special power, special talent, special abilities. And all you need to do is to connect to that and be surrounded by surround yourself with people who believe in you, and that connection comes even that much faster.
Paperboy, talking about that Paperboy. Oh, I'm sorry. I just
you
saw
were in the moment.
And Atlanta just came to me real quick. So fire, so dope, so cool. So that was awesome. Yep. Shout out to Joe. Good job, Joe.
Yeah, he always does a good job. Mm-hmm. So well done, Joe. Wherever you are, wherever you are.
Jezra taught him so well. Good job, Jezra. Your students going out to the world just doing big things.
The students become the master.
I know. Jezra must be so proud right now. All right, so again, so into Spider-Verse. So again, we saw the cast. Cast was totally cool, and makes sense because they did some amazing voice acting in the movie.
Yes, they did.
Overall, what are your first thoughts on the movie?
Okay, so my first thoughts on the movie is just that it looked so beautiful. Right? It was really like a comic book come to life, and they had so many different animation styles in the same film that were woven together like seamlessly. That's what I was just like really, really impressed by the visual style, by the movement of the artwork.
I totally agree with you because the thing about it is though, is that a lot of times we get used to seeing animation just from like Pixar and Disney, and so there's a certain expectation here. But with this one, I agree it was really different because there were times when I was watching this movie and it would kind of have like a little fuzz around it, but it was an artistic choice. So I was like, wait, do I need 3D glasses for this? But no, it's an artistic choice,
Yes.
and it's weird because it's almost like they took like the Pixar style but made it graffiti.
Oh,
because there's all this like bright color and all these different things where you're breaking rules,
Right.
which totally makes sense for Miles' character because in the movie he's also a graffiti artist as well. And so all in all, I just gotta say like, dude, it was just so dope.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the cinematic animation choices they made for this film work so well and paid so homage to Spider-Man while also elevating it.
Yeah, and it also like it really felt like Miles was telling the story. Like
Yeah.
he would be the one to control the different art, or like how he'd like react to his own thought bubbles, or he'd like step out of the frame, or like send his onomatopoeias, however you say that word, shoot them out while he's fighting. I don't know. I really loved how they incorporated the comic book style with the film style, like together.
Same. It was really dope. And then we can start getting into this, like, it was dope too is that they do this cool segment where every time they give like somebody's backstory, a comic book lands on the ground or whatever.
Yes.
And then they go through and start flipping the pages. And what's dope is those actual comic books were for selling.
Right, that they're
comic
real.
shops.
They're real. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a lot of actual covers. So a lot of comic book artists got to see their art on the screen, which I know must have been so dope.
Yeah.
But before talking more about that, we got another super chat.
Toku Kid said
What?
Spider-Verse did what Justice League tried to do. Laughter, crying emojis. That is a sad and true statement. I mean, if like by bringing together all the Spider people, like the Spider League, yes.
Yep. And then we got another super chat. The great Batusi Dancer said,
Dancer. I like this change.
I know. Love the Spider Cave as well. Spider
Yes,
Cave was
yes.
hilarious.
Yes, as soon as I was like,
Oh my
Bat
God.
Cave? But yes, it was Spider Cave.
No,
It
best part about the Spider Cave was Spider-Man 616's reaction to the Spider Cave. Like, I love the other girl was like, wow. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh. Wow, do you have all this?
He's like, it's
yeah,
really small.
My shed is like
Exactly.
this. There's a futon. It's kind of pretentious. I was like dying. I was
Yes,
like,
that was
loving
perfect.
this.
That was
like,
perfect.
I'm loving 616 Spider-Man. Seriously, they didn't officially say that was 616
Right,
Spider-Man,
but
but
that's
like,
what- yeah.
no, that's 616 Spider-Man.
And also, like, that scene also exemplifies why you have Chris Pine voicing one of them and Jake Johnson voicing the other.
Chris Pine voices the ultimate version,
Yes.
which works out. But then at the same time, though, we have what's the guy's name from
Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson
From New Girl
voicing
is
the
what I
pre
think
part,
of
which
him
is
as.
so dope and
Yeah.
just so hilarious. And I guess let's start talking about the characters as well. So, how would you feel about the Spider people?
Well, I loved all the Spider people. First of all, I just loved this as an introduction to Miles. I think you really get to see just like him as a young man who feels like the weight of expectations are too great. Like he can't live up to his parents' expectations, society's expectations. Like I think that all of us have felt that way at some point or another. It's just like the most relatable thing. But then he still steps into himself over the course of the movie. So it is like a coming of age story for him. And at the same time, you've got those different phases of like different Peter Parkers from all the universes, right? So you've got the one who was in the prime of his life before he was cut down, the one who's like over the hill. And then, and the others were like, then there's Gwen, right? You've got Gwen, who I think was such a nice balance. She was like sort of like the bridge between them. And she also has like an important emotional bond with each of them. Oh, that reminds me. Flash asked earlier on if there is a Miles and Gwen moment.
Oh,
yes, there is definitely Miles and Gwen potential.
A lot.
Yes, it is there.
There's Miles making them moves, making them moves.
Oh yeah. Hey, it did. He made an attempt. An attempt was made, and you'll see how that worked out.
It really is. Nice, well played. And I just gotta say, Nick Cage, all the bees. The man is back. Oh my gosh, dude was hilarious. Every time he talked, he was just like stealing scenes.
Yes.
Like I was so happy to see Noir Spider-Verse by Nick Cage. And so a lot of times before I go into these things, I try to stay away from as much news as possible because I like to be pleasantly surprised.
Right.
I love that theater going experience. So when he popped up, I was like, wait, that's Nicolas Cage? Oh, this is going to be
Oh,
hilarious.
you didn't even know it was Nicolas Cage when you went in.
No, because I tried to
that's
block those things
wild.
out. I tried
Like,
to
I knew it was
stay
going to
away
be
from
him, but I avoided watching any of like. I just watched the one trailer and I was like, I don't want any more scenes spoiled for me.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was still hilarious.
It was hilarious. It was awesome. It was dope. And so Nick Cage was amazing. But again, I agree with you about Miles. The cool thing about this was that, as you guys know, I teach, and so I teach high schoolers. And so as I was watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my students. Again, there's just like this kid who has all this potential, who's going to the school. He doesn't want to go to this crappy school. He wants to go to school with his neighborhood friends. And he doesn't understand why his parents are forcing him to do this because he has all this potential. He has all this opportunity. He's got to take advantage of it. And I was like, you guys are writing this story insanely well. And so again, Miles' character was done like flawlessly. Before we move on to talk about other Spider people, we got to talk about Jezra's favorite Spider character.
Who's that?
Spider-Ham!
Spider-Ham is Jezra's favorite.
Which is
Spider-Ham was adorable.
Dude, he's also Mahoney. What's that dude's name?
Yeah. Oh my god, what's his name? The gun that says that's my wife. All I remember is this little bit where he's like, that's my wife.
That's my wife. It's like, yeah. Mahoney. So it's like, and who had that failed show on Fox that you tried to do so hell was like trying to be like Jerry Seinfeld.
Aww.
But
it's John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. But John Mulaney's had a great comeback. His Netflix comedy special is actually really good. And his bit role in this movie, oh my god, so good.
Yeah, another scene stealer. Good. All of those are like bit spider people were all scene stealers.
Exactly.
They're all amazing.
I love when he shows up and was like, my hand's wet only because I went to the bathroom. No other reason. No, I'm not shaking that. But again, so John Mulaney was good, and then also again, I gotta give props to again over the old Peter Parker. I would just say it's kind of like the Peter Parker who lost hope or 616 because it was just so cool to see him. Because think about this was that like earlier Toku said, all right, Justice League, this did what Justice League tried to do, but I'm gonna be real. This Into the Spider-Verse did what a lot of the Spider-Man movies have been trying to do for years. Because the thing about it is, though, is that we had a story that actually showed, like, Spider-Man. Like, literally, as I was watching, again, that 616 Spider-Man story, I was like, that is my Spider-Man. That is the Peter Parker who I grew up reading. The one who's like the bad luck Parker genes, who's always failing, who's always trying his hardest.
Right.
Like I love the whole bit about then you open up a spider restaurant. Yeah. You make some bad financial decisions. It goes out of business. you claim bankruptcy.
There's always like and they kept repeating that mantra too. Of like how many times it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up, right?
Which is the whole thing about Spider-Man because you think about he fell ultimately with Uncle Ben, but he got back up. And so throughout the story, you see him mentor Miles, and with Miles we got that young Spider-Man story that we've been grading for years. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay. This might be controversial.
You're so honest all the time. Tell me more. Be even more honest. Oh, God.
I like this better than Homecoming.
Okay. That's not that... I can't imagine that's that controversial.
Because here's the thing, though. I loved Homecoming, but I was like, this is fire. This is fire on another level.
So for me, Homecoming was like a really great Peter Parker story and then like a not so great Spider-Man story. And this I think had, all of it.
Exactly.
Plus Miles. So it's like great Miles story, great Peter Parker story, great Spider-Man and woman story.
Because that's the thing though, is like with the Spider-Man Homecoming, it's dope. But I mean, the thing was, people always bring up things like, oh, they never really say with great power comes great responsibility. They don't talk about Uncle Ben at all because
that was so weird.
Exactly, because they're trying to replace Tony as the figure, which I don't really like that much. Because I'm like, that's like saying Batman's dog died and that's what made him become Batman. It's like what?
Tony's Batman's dog now?
His dog did not die. That's when he become Batman. His parents died. So when you take out Uncle Ben out of the equation and you don't do that, it just holds it back. But what I loved about this was though, this movie was again a passing of the torch to Miles, but it was also just a celebration of all Spider-Man, a celebration of all his history, all his wackiness. But before we get into more of that, we got another super chat. Saw Peter with blonde hair and thought it was Ben Reilly.
Yes, Batusi dancer.
Batusi, you ain't the only one.
That is exactly how I felt too.
Exactly. Yes. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. Again, that's what I say, like celebrating all the Spider-Man history because in that sense, they were like, we're going to do a little nod to Ben Reilly Spider-Man. When he was Spider-Man, he dyed his hair blonde to be different from Peter and everything like that. I was like, okay, I'm on board for this. The people who are making this know their history.
Yes.
That was dope to see.
For sure.
Okay, but I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. My apologies.
Oh, that's all right. I forgive you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So forgive me. So going back to you. So what did you think? What things did you like about it?
Well, one thing that I really liked that I think like I didn't notice at first when I was watching, but then I thought about it and I was like, oh my God. Like I liked how like so many different stories paralleled each other in unexpected ways. Like Kingpin, for example. So he had his wife and son, whom he lost partially because he accidentally revealed, the depth of his darkness to them. And then I thought that was interesting because it paralleled Aaron to me. Like Aaron is one way to Miles, right? Miles, hero worships Aaron, and he's living a life that he doesn't want his nephew to know about, right?
Exactly,
he wants to be someone that his nephew can be proud of, but he can't live the life that his nephew is proud of, So it's sort of like, even though they're both kind of villains, right? Aaron's a villain and so is
Right.
Kingpin, but you see the more like human side of that same story with Aaron.
Exactly, and then spoilers as we get into it. So,
Right.
but when Aaron is discovered for his evilness, he doesn't like still embrace it. He tries to like, nah, this is wrong.
Right.
It ends up
Well,
dying for it.
yeah, when he sees that it's Miles that he's, that he's facing, then suddenly it's like he realizes the nature of what he's doing.
Exactly.
And
All of a sudden,
that's-
everything
yeah.
just kind of clicks for him. And I agree with
Exactly.
you. There's a lot of duality in nature here because what's also interesting, too, is because you think about Kingpin. Kingpin loses his wife and son. And this is his motivation in the movie before going ahead and starting the whole, like, crossing to multiple Earth thing. Because his whole
Right.
goal is I can pull my wife and son
Exactly. He wants to
from
find,
another
like,
Earth and bring
versions
them back
of
and everything
them,
like that.
bring them back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it is that, like, it kind of shows what happens when you hold on too much to the past. Because if you think about Peter could have just said, no, I'm going to live in this darkness forever. I'm always going to, like, Uncle Ben. I'm going to try to get him back. I'm not going to learn for this, blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
instead, he used that as motivation to move forward.
Yeah.
Kingpin could have used that as motivation to move forward. It's like, I'm going to give up this life of crime. I'm going to be the man that my wife and son would have wanted me to
Right.
be.
And instead
But
he's
he
like,
does the
nope,
opposite.
I'm gonna do more crimes so that I can get them back. And then probably lose them again.
There it
But there's
is.
also even, with that there's even parallel to Peter from 616. Yeah, 616. Because again, it's like he's lost Mary Jane because he couldn't change, or he didn't think that he could change who he was, or he was stuck in fear, right? He was living in fear.
Which made sense too, though, which I liked a lot because the thing about it is that, again, if you look at Peter's history from 616, it's like, okay, you become Spider-Man, all right? You lose Uncle Ben. Later on, you lose Captain Stacy, someone you saw as a father figure. Later on, you lose maybe the love of your life, you lose Gwen Stacy. Later on, you marry Mary Jane, and the first child you have, you actually lose them, and something weird happens with that. And so the thing about this, though, if you start looking at this dude's like history, it's like, would you really want to have children?
Right.
You'd be so afraid to have children. It makes sense. And so I love the fact that they kind of dealt with that, and that was really cool to see.
Yeah, and that I just love like the bond with Miles and Peter and how they each learn from each other, right? They have so much to teach each other, and so they have like that fun little like bickering buddy cop dynamic at first, but by the end of it, it really does feel like more of a father and son dynamic.
Yep.
And Toku Kid has a super chat.
Super chat.
Loved the Web of Destiny. Now we need Madame Web. Yes.
No.
Absolutely agree.
Nah, I love the whole Web of Destiny thing. I love sharing, like, going to different timelines, everything. That was really cool to see. And what's interesting, like, if you ever read the actual Spider-Verse storyline, super different. Super different from this movie.
Right, it's just kind of like the title. It's just like the title.
There's no Moreland. There's no Superior Spider-Man. There's no Spider people dying left and right. It's super different. But at the same time, though, it's super dope.
Right.
Because it opens up the door. Because as we already talked about, there's going to be hella sequels coming.
Yeah.
We got an all-girl sequel
Yeah, we've got
coming.
a spin-off, we've got a sequel, and it definitely left, like you said, it left the door open for it, and it also makes you want it. You want so much more of this universe, multiverse, if you will.
Like, in a way, I'm kind of like, Sony, you know what? You keep doing animated Spider-Man films, and you leave the actual Spider-Man, like,
To
leave
Marvel.
Tom to Marvel. You let Tom stay with Marvel. You let him stay with Kevin Feige for a few years. Do some stuff. But, like, seriously, like, again, Sony did a great job with this. I'm actually looking forward to, like, whatever they put out with this.
Right.
And I gotta be real, too. Like, another thing they kind of paid homage to was the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. Because the crazy thing about this is, so for people that don't know, back during, like, the late 90s, Marvel, again, they were losing money. Things were going downhill till Joe Quesada showed up, and they started Marvel Knights. So they started Marvel Knights with Jimmy Palmiotti and everything like that. They kind of saved the company, but then they did this experiment called the Ultimate Line, and the Ultimate Line was like, let's go ahead and restart a couple books
Right.
like these young talents and everything like that, and bring them on. So they bring Brian Michael Bendis, and he's over there doing the Ultimate Spider-Man. You got Mark Millar doing Ultimate X-Men, and these are super young talented people who like comic careers, like kind of help start this company. They go off to like do amazing things. But Brian Michael Bendis did over 100+ issues of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And there's so many characters, so much history
Right.
there. And the dope thing about it is that a lot of times with the spin-off book, like, it was like, oh, we're never going to see any of this stuff on screen. Yes,
But
we
yes,
did.
now, and we have the opportunity to see even more. Yeah.
Exactly. We got to see the ultimate version of Scorpion. We got to see the ultimate version of the Green Goblin. We got to see the ultimate version of Tombstone. So all of a sudden, if you were an Ultimate Spider-Man fan, you get a movie that's paying homage to all that stuff, which is really cool.
Now, do you think that this movie's success, if it is, hopefully it is very successful, will push them to bring Miles into the live-action universe? Because we've already got Aaron there, so obviously Miles exists. I don't know. How quickly do you think that we might see him live action?
Miles?
Yeah.
I think pretty soon. I think, honestly, with the way this is going right now and the popularity this movie is going to have, I think we're going to see like a little bit more like animated stuff and everything like that. But I feel like in about 4 to 5 years, as they like Tom Hiddleston gets older, they kind of do like their whole trilogy there,
Right.
and maybe they see like, do we want to take Peter Parker to college? We don't want to do with this. They're going to start playing with ideas of bringing Miles in live action because I mean you can't,
Right.
and like you can't ignore it. It's doing so well right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they do relatively quickly. And I also, one thing that I have to say that I really loved about the movie that I thought it did so well was like, tonal whiplash, going from like a really like heartbreaking or heartwarming moment to just like a hilarious one.
Dude,
Just like laughter, you know?
No, I totally agree. Like, there's this moment, and we have to spoil it up, so we're good.
Yeah.
So there's this cool
Spoilers.
moment where it's like all of a sudden Peter goes to see Aunt May.
Yes.
And the thing about this, in his world, he's already lost Aunt May. Aunt May has just lost her Peter. So you're like, dude, this is gonna be heart wrenching, and it is. But then immediately after that, they go down to his spider cave,
And he's already
which
got
is
the
hilarious.
others.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that whole bit him going down, like he's kind of pretentious down here, and blah blah blah. I was like, you keep cracking the jokes, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Keep
And then
cracking
you
the
meet,
jokes.
and then you meet all the other Peters that she's
Exactly.
already, you know.
And you
hidden.
got
Of
Nick
course-
Cage, Noir
yeah.
Spider, and everything like that. So good. So
But then
good.
the other and it was repeated throughout many different parts. Like you've got Mary Jane giving a speech after Peter dies, which I cried during that speech. That I also thought like contained like the heart of the whole movie. And then Miles is like listening and like being inspired by the speech, and he's like, "Yes, I have to do this." And then the guy next to him suddenly like, "I don't think she means you specifically.
She means metaphorical.
Yeah,
Like all
this
of
is a
us
metaphor.
can do something. We're all Spider-Man in a way, not just you, bro.
Yeah, that was so great. And then of course, I don't like want to spoil like exactly what happened in the Stanley cameo, but that Stanley cameo was one of
my
the
gosh.
best that
And-
he's done so far,
Dude,
or that
and-
he's you know.
It was crazy as though props to that Stan Lee cameo because
Yeah.
I got to say like when he showed up on screen, theater went quiet.
Yeah.
Like you just everyone there was just reverence about yourselves like oh we just lost him.
Yeah.
And everyone
Yeah.
was just kind of just like took a moment and it was just like and it was beautiful to see and we laughed.
And it was a
with the
poignant. It was a poignant scene, and
Yeah.
then it was like almost like they knew. Then there's like that little button that's the joke at the end.
Exactly.
You know, so then
Boom.
you can like laugh in relief.
Exactly.
But yeah,
just
it was
so
really
awesome.
well done.
And so that was dope. And I gotta say too, like I agree with you. Like a lot of things about this movie is that everything's done so subtly. Like we're gonna just jump around, but towards the end of the movie, I love the fact that with that whole scene is like you can be Spider-Man. Anyone
Yeah.
can be Spider-Man. Anyone can be behind the mask saving
Exactly,
people.
yes.
And then the last shot is like again, it's like biracial kid, black Latino laying on his bed and everything like that. It's like you can be Spider-Man. It's like, dude, that is so empowering.
Exactly.
Like
That's what I love so much about this. Yeah, that was the message of the film. Right?
Exactly.
Like any of you can make a difference.
It gave me those Black Panther chills.
Yes.
It's like when I'm
Yes.
just like was like I want so many young people to see this and learn this message that you can be whatever you want to be. It doesn't matter. And it was just like so beautiful and so awesome. To
Yeah,
see.
which reminds me that I also loved how often how often Rio would speak Spanish,
Oh,
and
so
they would just like
dope.
go back and forth with the
Exactly,
Spanish, and
exactly.
it didn't feel awkward. Like a lot of times when you've got Spanish speaking characters
Mm-hmm.
in movies, the actor clearly does not speak Spanish,
Mm-hmm,
and then you've got this like awkward like attempts are being made, and this time like obviously Lauren Velez does speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, of
so,
course. It's what you call it from New York Undercover.
Yes.
She held that down.
So
She's been
and
doing
so
this for years.
and she would just do the whole sentence in Spanish, and then contextually you know what she's saying based on Miles's response or whatever. You know,
Nah,
I really
agree.
like that.
And what I loved about it too, though, is that the world that we live in now is that they could have put subtitles right there. It's
Right.
Like, we don't need subtitles. If you want to know, go talk to a friend. And it was
Yes.
like exactly, and that's the dope thing
Exactly.
about it because it is so cool that them switching back and forth shows that duality of his nature because they could have ignored that biracial part of him, that Latino
Right.
heritage, but like that was just the biggest part of him as his black heritage. It was so dope to see.
Agreed.
Oh, so good, so good, so
Yeah.
good. And then, dude, we gotta talk about it because we were jamming out the whole time. We were just
Yes.
like, we were dancing in our seats, having a great
Yeah.
time, and everything like that. Because that soundtrack was lit.
Yes, it really was.
Dude.
I really did want. It was like a dance party for real.
No,
Yeah.
it was a total ode to Brooklyn and hip hop too. Because I love the fact we opened up with Post Malone, so over
Yeah.
that modern music, everything like that. But then when we go see Uncle Aaron and that Biggie comes on,
Yes.
it's like,
Yeah, right. And the music would fit the moment that you were in, or fit the area, like you're saying, like Uncle Aaron, or the school, or Miles and Miles's own song. You know, like all of it was so amazing. And I also just. It took me back to the days when, you know, like there'd be a
Back in
superhero
the
film,
days.
yes, and they would actually release like a soundtrack,
Oh,
you know,
yes,
and
yes,
they'd
yes,
have
yes.
like songs that were
Yes.
actually written for the movie. Like that's that's what it made me want.
No.
I was like, I need this.
I literally am going to go on Apple Music later to try to download the soundtrack
Yes.
because again, there was a little bit of everything on there. Because I loved how his roommate came in and the K-pop was playing.
Yes.
I was like, is that
And
BTS?
they
Is
never
that BTS
they never
right
said
now?
his name, right? They never said
Oh,
Genki's
no,
name,
but
but that was Genki.
Well, that's the weird thing about it, though, because technically they put Gank in a way into the Peter Parker movie, just Homecoming. So it's kind
Right.
of like,
But
you
then
can't
they
have two
named him.
gangs.
But they named him
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, so I feel like
Ned Leeds. They made him Ned Leeds. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
so they got to figure that out.
Yeah. But yeah.
So yeah, all in all, dude, so good. The voice acting was amazing, the comedy was amazing, and I agree with you. Like that pacing was off the chain because the thing about it is a lot of times as a writer, when you write something, you know you need to kind of like take breaths.
Yeah.
In a way, you kind of like get your audience a chance. But this movie never lit up because it was
Right.
always going because like we need to keep going like nonstop. It's like okay, we need to get to this plot point, because technically this whole story takes place within the span of like 3 to 4 days.
Right. But so much happened in it. It was crazy. And also, like, I was so surprised because, like, it was like 20 or 25 minutes before he even met the 616 Spider-Man. So I was like, how are they going to fit everything? And yet they did. Everything felt like it was in its place.
They did, and we got enough of every character. We got enough time to bond with them. 616 Spider-Man again was hilarious. They all were. They all had this like great moments and everything like that. And every character got a chance to shine. Even Spider-Ham.
Even Spider-Ham, yes. Who knew? And I feel like all of you have seen it, but anyone who's watching that hasn't seen it, remember to stay for the end credits because it is an excellent scene.
So we got to go in the chat for a minute because right now people are starting like a little debate. They're saying, "Yeah, better than Black Panther."
Better than Black Panther. I mean, I don't know that. I feel like you can't really compare. Like, I don't know.
You can. I mean, you can in a way because when I left this, it did go across my mind. The Prompt Sawyer's thing, though, as a movie, just as a movie, is it better like this in storytelling, pacing, and whatnot? It's damn near doing a lot of great things. So I would have to make that argument for it, though. But then we start getting into individual performances. Again, that's where like you have comedy versus some of the amazing acting Michael B. Jordan was putting on, though. But like, the problem with it is, though, is that this is me personally. This is Johnny Parker. I will say that they're kind of tied in a way because they're both monumental films. And Black Panther had like all black cast, pretty much. Had a black director, had like a black costume designer, everything like that. This not only was as important as a movie as far as storytelling, as far as showing Hollywood, like you can employ these people and they will break records.
Right.
And so that's the important thing about that as well. You can bring in African Americans and Africans, all these different things like that. And so that's the reason why is like I'm like it's in the middle. So the thing is that I understand how people would say that Spider-Verse is better, but at the same time though, it's just a movie with storytelling. I can see that. Yeah. But as far as like a cultural movement, everything like that, Spider-Verse is going to be up there. Right. But Black Panther's on another level.
I mean, I guess that's the thing too, because it's like there's different elements. Like obviously like the animation or like the design, the visual design of Spider-Verse is just like on a whole other level.
Exactly.
And as a story, it was a really well done, coherent story that didn't have any extra fat. Which yes, Black Panther did have some. There's parts that you could have cut out. But like you said, the performances, like not just Michael B. Jordan, but Sterling K. Brown, and the moments that he had with Michael B. Jordan were really just like iconic.
Exactly. Not only that, exactly. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that they're just gonna live forever in my Marvel mind.
No, it's like as much as I love Miles Morales. I teared up so many times during Black Panther that it kind of blew me away. It's like when we go and see Wakanda, we see this beautiful city. And then at the end of what Michael B. Jordan scene was like, bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who death was better. I was like, oh God, why? Oh God, I wasn't ready for that. Or when he goes to the UN and everything, I was like, no, when the little kid comes up to him like, who are you? And then the music hits like, da-da-da, da-da-da, like, that's Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's Black Panther.
The sheer number of like well-developed, complex women who had relationships with each other in Black Panther does not exist in any other Marvel or DC movie. So for that also is like a level above for me than others.
Yeah.
But Spider-Verse was definitely one of the best movies of 2018.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. And I think the only thing about it is that like, because again, the only thing that's going to like come close to like being better than like Black Panther, like in anime form, is when we got our Static Shock movie. And I'm just being here's the thing though, because at the end of the day, again, Black Panther's dope, but it wasn't exactly created by like a minority creator.
Right.
So the thing about it is that when you have Static Shock, who's created by Dwayne McDuffie, you get an amazing team behind that, put all these things together. That's going to be the one that I'll be like balling at every single scene. Like, oh my God, it's Static Shock. He's in Dakota. He's flying around the trash can lid because he's Poe. Oh God, here it is. But that's just me.
That sounds like quite an experience.
I hope so.
And I don't know. I guess I'll do that for Blue Beetle. We'll see.
Oh yay! Jaime Reyes, he's coming.
Yes.
Okay, so anything else we want to say about Spider-Verse?
Is there anything else that we can say? I mean, like I already said, stay for the final credits scene. It was hilarious. It was awesome. It will have you talking.
Exactly. And I would just say, you might be looking and say, wait, why did you guys talk about the villains? The villains are there, and there's plot there, but it's honestly more of an internal struggle. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like person versus himself type conflict. Right. And so the thing about it is, though, is that the villain is Miles in his own, like, confidence, his own self-esteem, him going through that, which ultimately is Spider-Man's whole thing. Right. It's dealing with that guilt, so it does play where everyone tells Spider-Man.
If anything, the most compelling villain is Uncle Aaron.
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's like the moment, the reversal moment, right? In the moment of like revelation, the face-off, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
Kingpin is there, and like I said, he has a story that parallels other stories that's interesting in and of itself, but it's not like it's that,
No, it's not.
The Super Collider is kind of like even Peter even calls the USB to stop the Super Collider the gizmo or the gadget or the goober, right? Because the Super Collider is like the MacGuffin, right?
Exactly,
it's just there to be the plot.
Exactly, it's just there to be there and everything like that, which makes sense.
But Doc Ock was great.
Doc Ock was amazing. Liz was dope.
Yeah. What's the actress's name? Catherine Hahn? I think, but her performance as Doc Ock was awesome. And That reminds me of Peter being like, I have to re-examine my personal biases.
Oh my god, that was so good.
That was a great moment.
So good. Oh my god.
And it was double,
so
right?
woke,
Because
so
first,
woke.
because first it's like, oh, she's the lead scientist. I wouldn't have expected
Yeah.
that. And it's like, not only is she the lead scientist, she's also like the dragon
Exactly.
before the big boss.
She's also that villain you expect to see.
So
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
again, all in all, so good. And I will say this as well. As far as like films go as well, like in a way, like I love the Miles Morales comic, but this movie pay a lot of homage to like black culture and like minority culture more than like that comic does a lot of times.
Right.
Because again, from the musical choices that we talked about, because the hip hop is like so rare apparent through it. But also in addition to that, it's also I would say like the costume.
Right.
Like they're the same costume elements, everything like that, but the fact he spray paints it on, puts a symbol on there, it just looks like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's his costume. It's like way better. So all in all, like again, I highly recommend going to see it. Like there's been talk around here at hashtag people saying it's going to win an Oscar or whatnot.
I hope it gets nominated at the very
Dude,
least.
honestly,
It
like for
needs
best
to.
animated feature,
Yes.
it definitely has a chance.
Yeah.
So again, I would not be surprised.
Totally 100% agree.
So again, go see it.
Yeah.
We both recommend it.
I wonder if there was ever like something that's like you super loved and I super hated, or the reverse. You know, like what would that cursor would go?
I don't know.
the
I
way
don't know.
to-
We have to wait and see. That's
Yeah.
not happened yet. Okay. So, Tati, where can everybody find you this week?
Everyone can find me. Actually, literally in a few minutes, I will be doing Gingerdale because we
Oh.
did not get to do it last night because we had many other things going on. But tonight we will talk Riverdale on Gingerdale.
Yay!
So catch us here at that hashtag show and talk about us on their Facebook page.
There it is, yay! You can find me on a little show we like to call Hinge Shit Hang Out. I'll be there kicking with my boy Jezer. We'll be talking about all things Hinge and everything like that. And a surprise guest might show up. I don't know who this person
Who?
is.
What?
Apparently he's coming through for this. Some man by the name of Johnny Dope Kicks is supposed to show up. So we'll see. We'll find out then on Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that. And then also this Sunday, we'll be on the wrestling show with Joe because we'll be watching TLC and we'll be chatting about that afterwards and talk about all the cool things wrestling.
See, when you say TLC, I think I don't want no scrubs.
There it is.
that-
There it is. Don't go chasing the waterfalls.
Okay.
But as always, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight to hear us talk about all things dirty, everything like that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with everything trending
Trending in
and geek pop culture. We out.